here's the big picture. Two major issues came up today. First, what was the scope of the immunity for Hunter? When you enter into a plea agreement, the prosecutors are agreeing not to prosecute you anymore for these particular crimes. But the question became, well, which crimes and what time period? It seems they were able to resolve that issue. They were able to focus on the particular charges at issue here, which means he could be prosecuted potentially for something else. But issue two is, what is the relationship of the guilty plea on the tax crimes and the non-prosecution agreement on the gun charge? You know, when it comes to the tax crimes, we're talking about crimes, pleading guilty. Judge, in a pretty straightforward way, either accepts that plea or doesn't. It's the non-prosecution agreement that apparently made it more complicated. Because on the separate gun charge, what the prosecutors are trying to say is, he's not pleading guilty to anything, we're just agreeing not to prosecute him as long as he adheres to certain requirements. But that's where the judge is saying, well, wait a second, who's going to decide if he violates the terms of that agreement? This isn't just an agreement that you're making with Hunter Biden. You're basically saying, according to the judge, that the judge has to be a part of it. The judge ended up saying, this is too much of a mess for right now. Now, look, at the end of the day, I expect this is something they can resolve, right? Let's ask Sarah Isgur, attorney and former spokesperson for the Department of Justice under President Trump and host of the legal podcast Advisory Opinions, and former federal prosecutor Scott Fredericksen. He also served as an associate independent counsel in Washington, D.C. Thanks to both of you. Appreciate it. Sarah, what the heck happened here? And do you think they're going to be able to get this back on track?
You summarized it so well, but what I think is missing partially from this conversation is that the rest of us saw this train wreck happening, several weeks ago when the defense initially, when the charges were announced, when the plea deal was announced, said this will end all investigations into Hunter Biden. And the U.S. attorney came out and said, no, we're still investigating Hunter Biden. The rest of us were like, well, the U.S. attorney is the one who would actually know that. So what's happening here? And what sort of defense attorney would let their client enter into a plea deal when you don't know the answer to that very important question? So what should have been a very routine hearing today between the two sides turned into hours and a lot of confusion. I agree with you that in the end, I think we're just going to see a plea deal in a few weeks, next month. It's going to look very similar to the one we were expecting today. But what in the world?
Yeah, and Scott, it seems to me that both sides wanted it both ways, and the judge wasn't going to allow them to play these games, right? It seems to me that the prosecutors wanted to be able to say, yes, it's an ongoing investigation. This doesn't resolve it. And the defense wanted to be able to say, well, look, this is over. And neither of them really confront one another about it, but the judge is basically saying, wait a sec, guys, which one is it?
Right. What happened here was a train wreck because both sides decided to blind themselves to it. The prosecution wanted a deal that says, hey, there's no immunity for our ongoing investigation. And as my colleague notes, this was flagged from day one when they said the investigation is ongoing, and the defense said this ends it all. The defense, meanwhile, I think, thought it could slip a fast one by a court in this really strange diversion agreement, which, by the way, is evidence the Department of Justice was not involved in this case at all, because they would never have allowed this. It would have been flyspeck at the criminal division, and Merrick Garland's office would never have let this go by. But I think the defense thought, we'll slip in this immunity in this strange diversion agreement. And as the court recognized, look, diversion agreements are between the government and the defendant. The court doesn't get involved in those. And then to have immunity called out in the diversion agreement for the tax charges, completely out of the box, the court was correct to say, wait a minute, I'm not sure this is constitutional. I shouldn't have a role in this. And then it started to unravel when she questioned the parties closely. Look, do you have immunity? Do you expect to have immunity for the future charges? And Hunter Biden's counsel says, yes. The government says, absolutely not. So, we had a judge who was described as hot when she took the bench. She was upset because she had seen this language. Yep. And I think the parties hoped they were going to get a rubber stamp on this. I think the defense hoped We have the language kind of snuck in here that's going to give us protection in the future, and she was having none of it.